Hello and welcome to News Central TV. I am Chiwete Onyema. The top stories this hour. Controversy brews following official unveiling of African Democratic Congress by leaders of opposition coalition. Supreme Court reserves judgment, defers ruling indefinitely on Edo governorship election dispute. Guinea's ruling junta wants to extend presidential terms from 5 to 7 years with a 2-term limit. Details shortly. We begin with politics. The African Democratic Congress has inaugurated former Senate President David Mark as its interim national chairman. Mark was appointed alongside former Minister of Interior Rauf Aregbesola, who now serves as the party's national secretary. The official handover was conducted at a coalition meeting in Abuja, which brought together members and stakeholders from various political parties.
Decided to resign so that he can pedal this canoe and get us to the villa. The endorsement that we got and which we're today going to give to distinguished Senator David Mark as interim national chairman of ADC, also with the same mandate, the approval of Governor Rauf Aregbesola as National Secretary.
Let history record that when our democracy faltered, we rose not in fear, but in faith. Let it be known today across Nigeria and beyond, the opposition is united. The platform is APC. The time is now. The mission is clear. Rescue Nigeria, rebuild Nigeria, return power to the people.
Now to discuss this, we are joined by international journalist and policy analyst Adeni Ikunu. Thank you so much for joining us.
For having me. Yes, please.
All right. Now, the ADC, like many other political parties in the country, appears to retain its fair share of internal party squabbles relating to, who the authentic national chairman is and all of that. But does a name like that of David Mark put an end to such agitations in this case?
Well, do not forget that the title they gave him happens to be interim national chairman. And that, to me, reflects what they've discussed long before this time and the fact that they probably have some kind of internal arrangement before he assumed that position. But I need us to understand that no political party in Nigeria is exempt from all sorts of squabbles. At the last electoral cycle, one of the things we had as the problems of the ADC was the issue of the national chairman. But after all said and done, INEC did not nullify the position. And of course, the presidential candidate in the last general election was also Dumebi Kachuku. So perhaps there are certain conditions INEC set for the party which has been fulfilled. Because I know that if there had been certain issues as we have in other parties, we would not have had such moves at the moment. Do not forget, the ADC as a party of choice came as shock to very many people, considering the fact that the political party has been tinkering with the ADA issue, only for them to choose the ADC. But to be fair on the ADC, it has to be said that for the past 16 years thereabouts, the ADC has actually repeatedly come between first and fourth position. And even in the last election, the ADC was between the first and seventh position. So if we understood the consistency in the position the party held, perhaps certain things have been properly researched, and those who have chosen the party have come to the realization of how important the party is in the scheme of politicking in Nigeria. As such, they made that decision.
Now, there's quite a number of heavyweights in this coalition. We're talking former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. We're talking former governor and minister El Rufai. Given that incumbency, of course, we know incumbency matters in Nigeria, but what real impact can these names pull on the electoral outcomes of 2027?
All right, let me identify the key figures there. Let's look at the former Senate President, David Mark.
Yes.
If you're looking at North Central, to a great extent, David Mark happens to be a highly respected person. If you look at the southwestern part of Nigeria, you must agree with me that Rauf Aregbesola, who, of course, had enjoyed certain privileges in Lagos and also understands certain things as far as southwest politics is concerned, man, I put his weight. Then I think that you should understand that when somebody has held a national position, amongst many other things, that person has an extent of clout to be able to deal with issues such as we're having, especially the expected unveiling. Don't forget, Nasir El-Rufai, who happens to be the founding member, of course, of the APC, happens to be there. Although no position has been announced, but you're talking about somebody who comes from a state that has been considered a political capital of the North. Don't forget, when any insect, no matter how little bites you, it is likely going to shake you. I know that there's a power of incumbency, but I also must remind you that in 2015, the power of incumbency did not work for former President Goodluck Jonathan, that we saw the APC eventually emerge as a party at the center in power. And do not also forget that there's always a particular rule book and a guideline that we are yet to see. So by February of next year, when INEC unveils their timetable, we begin to see the strategies that these people have for them to take part. So when you're talking about a heavyweight within the Northwest, like Nasir El-Rufai, although he has his limitations, but you don't look away from the capacity he has as far as Kaduna politics is concerned. You look at David Mark, former Senate President, who has made alliances, especially into the activities of politicians in the North, and of course from the North Central where he comes from. So when we pull these capacities together, I think the ruling party need to be cautious of what perhaps they have to contend with in the coming election.
So would you say now, because you just mentioned that the power of incumbency didn't really work in 2015, would you say the ADC has what it takes to do what the APC did in 2015?
Okay, let me give you a picture. The ADC is a party that's been existing for the past 18 years, thereabouts. The APC is a party that's been existing for about 13 years. Now, if you compare the fact that a party that has been existing for that period of time will take power, I'm talking about 13 years. The APC was formed in 2014, and the APC assumes power in 2015. The ADC has already been existing soon after the Fourth Republic in the country. So that tells you that that's it. Then another thing that could actually make people reason in the direction of the ADC, because it's a party that I've taken time to study its internal dynamics, is that it has a foothold in the entire geopolitical zone of Nigeria. And that's another significant conversation around politics. If you also check the history of politicking in this country, the ADC has consistently come between first and fifth position. So there has to be something the party understands about politicking in the most populous black nation in the country, and to have maintained such consistency in performance over time, there has to be lots of things that perhaps have been considered to have allowed that party be the party of choice. So while people understand that you cannot oftentimes take away the power of incumbency, if you look at the United States of America, the power of incumbency did not help the Democratic Party at last year's election that eventually saw President Donald Trump emerge as the President of America. And if you check some other countries of the world, you find out that it is not in all instances that the power of incumbency actually helps a political party, because people's disaffection accounts for lots of things that happen with the vote. There are many other things that could account for a person who sits in power losing an election. More or less like some people predicting that maybe in the next election cycle in America, President Donald Trump is going to win the next election. The same thing in Nigeria, the most populous black nation in the country. So you have to understand that oftentimes we take away the catalyst in election, and that has to do with the electorate. The electorate is always the catalyst in every election, and I do not think we should just push away the capacities of, perhaps the shock that may await many when we're talking about the ADC. So I think that people should respect every party that politicians that are heavyweight could consider as their party of choice in the next election. but ultimately is the consciences and the conscientization of the electorate about the people being the catalyst in every election cycle.
Now, I know one thing a lot of people will be looking forward to is the fact that who will be the presidential candidate for the ADC. Now, we know that Vice President or former Vice President Atiku is one person who has been consistent when it comes to running for, office of being the president of Nigeria. One would wonder, do you think if for some reason do you think it would be acceptable by him if for some reason he's not picked as the presidential candidate for the ADC?
I'd like you to understand that Atiku Abubakar, in my candid estimation, may not be the presidential candidate of the ADC in the coming election. Do not forget that former Vice President Atiku Abubakar have moved from one political party to the other, which to me has actually affected, in my candid estimation, the kind of political ideology that he stands for. And you cannot take away the Gen Zs from the political evolution happening in Nigeria, ditto many other persons that are politically relevant in the country. And I think it is time for people to begin to consider, and I think that the ADC perhaps are thinking in that direction, where they are thinking about somebody that is not too far from their generation and somebody that is not too close to them. So we're looking for a mixture of experience and age that is not too far. Somebody that understands the dynamics of the current time, and somebody that also understands the period before them. So whilst I may not be perfectly correct in saying that former Vice President Atiku Abubakar may be the candidate of choice for the ADC, but if we look at the issues that have happened in the past 16 years, and now Atiku has moved from one party to the other, I do not think that the ADC may want to risk having Atiku, whose political ideologies are not very consistent and who doesn't even live in the country, so much as to have him, connect with the people. Let me do a retrospective analysis of the elections we had in 2023 in Nigeria, where it seemed to me that Peter Obi's ideology reverberated with a lot of young people, who are about 60% of the population in Nigeria. If you look at that part of Peter Obi where a lot of his ideologies resonated with many young persons in Nigeria, and you look at how people felt they needed some kind of new sigh or new wave of commitment from somebody, I guess they may look in that direction. Although Peter Obi has been essentially silent, and maybe it's a surprise package that the parties are holding together and they want to unleash on the Nigerian people. But I have to be candid with you that if Peter Obi eventually becomes the choice of the ADC, then the PDP is in deep waters. As much as it may seem it's not possible, I think that there's a lot of things that we're looking up to, or there are lots of things that we're giving consideration to later that we have to keep our fingers closely knit upon. So when we're looking at the forthcoming election, I need to say that Atiku may not actually be, but if Atiku eventually becomes that, then the ADC has to work 4 times more to be able to sell the ideology of man that has been politically inconsistent, especially when it comes to vying for the position of the presidency. But if we now come to the aspect of Peter Obi, because people have not experienced so much of him at the national level, they perhaps could give him the opportunity. And let me say that whilst every politician is not perfect, and also whilst they've been having conversation about Peter Obi just spending one time in office, I still do not believe anybody who says that. But I think that if I do a comparative analysis of Peter Obi as perhaps the eventual candidate of the ADC, and I look or put him side by side Atiku Abubakar, I think it may be a better sell. But we still do not know where the ADC is headed. For instance, we'll be hearing conversation about Rabi Musa Pokonso coming to the APC, so that at least we can capture the state that appears to be in terms of numbers, the second of the state that is equal in terms of the electorate, like Lagos State. Let us be reminded that Rabi Musa Pokonso is also a very formidable figure as far as Northwest politics is concerned. And do not forget, you're talking about Kano State, where you have 44 local government. That is no joke for anybody. And that's the reason you cannot take that away. As a matter of fact, in the last elections held in Nigeria in 2023, Lagos and Kano, both states have the highest number, according to INEC records, the number of electorates across the country. So you're looking at how people perhaps will intend to want to shake the grounds as far as it's concerned. Then let me also put on record here that Peter Obi at the presidential election won Lagos. Won Lagos. So you cannot push away the factors that are realistic as far as the politicking is concerned. So if you check Atiku and where he stands, the Northwest, I believe, will always want to go in his direction. But I do not think Atiku has so much love and deep affection among the northwestern part of the country. If you come to the north central part of the country, you cannot take away the strategy of the ADC in choosing former Senate President David Mark as the person to hold sway for them. So when you look at how things have been divided, then if you go to, for instance, the south part of the country, that's another kettle of fish altogether.
All right, Denny, before we let you go, let me just ask this question, because you mentioned something about where ADC is headed. If we go back to 2015, it looked like there was a coalition. I'm talking about how the APC was birthed now. It looked like there was a coalition of people who just wanted the PDP out. And we could see that months after, even after APC had, even after APC became the ruling party, we saw that they still had some issues here and there. Do you think ADC right now has members who actually have the same ideologies aside just taking Tinubu out of office?
Well, I feel that one of the things anybody does, particularly if you're a political party, is to remove the incumbent from office. I believe that many people who have access to the internet can access the ADC and the PDP online and get to know the basic indicators or the basic things that this party stands for. But I need to make this also very lucid here, that if you listen carefully to the conversation they had at the Musi Yar'Adua Center today, it was about getting the APC out of power. Perhaps that is the primary thing. My father used to tell me that one thing done well, one thing at a time, and that's done well. Don't forget that the sole purpose of the APC in 2015 was also to remove the PDP from office. And after they told us all of the things that were not truthful as far as the manifesto of the party was concerned, perhaps maybe that is the same ideology that the ADC had. The ADC has told you, and we heard from what former Senate President David Mark said, that we want to remove the APC from office, particularly to take Nigerians out of the intensive care unit that they have found themselves. So perhaps the first mission is take them out of office, let us take Nigeria out of intensive care unit, then we can think about how to move this ship forward. That is probably what is being talked about now.
All right, thank you so much, Denny, for joining us, and we hope you join us again some other time to have conversations like this.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the privilege. Have a wonderful day. Bye now.
All right, moving on to judicial matters. The Supreme Court has put on hold its judgment in the ongoing legal battle over the Edo State governorship election, leaving the fate of Senator Monday Okpebholo hanging in the balance. The Apex Court on Thursday announced that it would communicate a later date for delivering its verdict after hearing final arguments in the appeal filed by Asue Hodalo and his party, the People's Democratic Party. Justice Garba Lawal, who presided over the proceedings, made it clear that judgment had been adjourned indefinitely.
The appellant, as the PDP, came back to the Supreme Court on same issues to canvass an issue that is a mere academic exercise. I don't know what they want the Supreme Court to do. Whether they're going to manufacture all that is from heaven, I don't know. So, but so far so good. We are good to go. APC is good to go. The government is good to go.
First, I want to thank the judiciary. It's the hope of a common man. We've gone through first stage, second stage. This is the third one, and it's not a news to us. We won the election clearly, but the opposition decided to drag us all the way to Supreme Court. But by the grace of God, the judgment has been reserved, and we are very, very hopeful that it's going to be in our favor.
This is a done deal for Senator Monday Okpebholo because I've been issued from the lower court to Court of Appeal. You see that beyond being inconsistent, you cannot be challenging the result of a whole state and you'll be bringing only 5 witnesses to come and defend that. It's an abomination to
as far as electoral law is concerned, it's an abomination. You must be able to prove beyond reasonable doubt. And one of the ingredients, one of the major things you must deal with is to advance weaknesses, to defend what you are alleging. And in their own case, it was not like that.
In the meantime, the House of Representatives Committee on Review of the Constitution has announced plans to conduct zonal public hearings across Nigeria's 6 geopolitical zones. This is part of efforts to ensure broad-based participation in the ongoing constitutional amendments process. Chairman of the committee and Deputy Speaker of the House, Benjamin Kalu, made this known during a press briefing in Abuja, stating that the goal is to promote inclusive and participatory democracy by allowing Nigerians to contribute directly to shaping the future of the nation's constitution.
We will be backing on zonal public hearing in 12 centers across the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria. These hearings are designed to provide an open platform for citizens, civil society organizations, professional bodies, traditional institutions, and other interest groups to express their views and contribute meaningfully to the constitutional reform process. Because if we must live by the preamble of our constitution that says that we, the people of Nigeria, we must show this by engaging in participatory democracy that is all engaging, that is people-centered.
Many thanks for staying with us. The Nigerian Army says it remains committed to national security, protecting the citizens and safeguarding the nation's democracy. At a press briefing held at the Army headquarters in Abuja, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, gave the assurance ahead of its 162nd anniversary celebration. Represented by the Chief of Civil Military Affairs, Major General Gold Chibuisi, Oluyede says the 2025 celebration aims to honor fallen heroes, highlight operational successes, and strengthen partnerships in the ongoing fight against terrorism and other internal threats.
In recent times, our nation has had to contend with the enemies of peace and agents of chaos who have brought terrorism to our borders and caused a plethora of internal security issues. Notwithstanding, the Nigerian Army has risen to the occasion to deny these terrorists the opportunity to disrupt our socio-cultural heritage or smear the sanctity of our sovereignty. In this vein, the Nigerian Army will not relent in its efforts to ensure the security of the Nigerian people and the perpetuity of our democracy. The Nigerian Army Day celebration provides an opportunity to showcase our achievements thus far and deepen collaboration with federal stakeholders towards enhancing peace, security, and the defense of our national values.
Now, in response to rising insecurity, Asaba traditional leaders have employed a spiritual approach by invoking curses on kidnappers, cultism, ritual killings, armed robbers, drug peddlers, and other criminals terrorizing the Delta State capital. News Central's correspondent Austin Azu completes the report.
Asaba, the capital of Delta State, has faced security challenges in recent years. These include drug abuse, kidnap for ransom, courtesan, among other social vices, a development leading to various protests.
The challenge of security, that's about too much. At Ibuzo, by the bypass, they are always kidnapping indigenous and non-indigenous residents of Ibuzo.
Governor Sheriff Obrewori had threatened to remove council chairmen who failed to effectively manage security in their areas, stressing the need for cooperation among security agencies, local vigilantes, and community leaders to combat insecurity.
Reports of insecurity, especially kidnapping, are still prevalent. This is disturbing. I urge our youths not to resort to social media and making inciting statements, but rather to collaborate with security agencies and our local vigilantes to confront the kidnappers and the perpetrators of other heinous crimes in their communities.
In their contribution, traditional religious adherents also frowned at what they described as worsening insecurity, thus invoked curses on perpetrators of these nefarious activities.
The war against kidnappers, yes, cultists and sponsors of cultism, yeah, and drug peddlers. Drug peddlers, not victims. All over Asaba is littered with these drug outlets. And we've tried our best, we've worked, to use force and all that. But they seem to be working with some forces or whatever. But this time around, we want to lay curses on those drug peddlers.
So we want to go spiritual now against them. So the natives have decided to consult the gods to help them. And everybody know the consequence of the gods intervening.
Other key stakeholders applaud the traditional ways of fighting insecurity in order to promote peace and stability in Asaba, the Delta State in general.
The drug peddlers, now the barons. I got Suzemaka and then they take it drug.
This approach by Asaba traditional leaders appears to underscore the significance of community-led initiatives in tackling insecurity. In Asaba for News Central, Austin Azu.
Now to infrastructure, the federal government has officially commissioned a 16.4-kilometer stretch of newly dualized and upgraded roads connecting Ushafa to the War College Army checkpoints and other surrounding areas within Buhari Area Council in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. News Central's correspondent Aishat Salihu has more on this report.
Focus shifted to Buhari Area Council as the federal government reaffirmed its commitment to infrastructural development across the Federal Capital Territory. Officials noted that improving road networks is essential to boosting mobility and economic activity, especially in satellite towns, including Ushafa, that serve as gateways to the city center.
These dualized and upgraded roads will not only ease traffic congestion, they will breathe new life into economic activities, improve access to education and healthcare, and uplift the overall quality of life for the good people of Ushafa, Buhari, and the neighboring communities.
This is the first time a sitting president, a vice president, will go to the satellite towns to identify with them, to tell the people in the satellite town, as we are doing for the city, so also we'll care for you.
For years, residents endured hardship due to the poor condition of the road. But now, they say, the transformation has brought a renewed sense of hope and convenience, though they emphasize that maintenance is critical to sustaining the project's impact.
You can even trek from here. Before, we cannot even trek to our houses. But now, without bike, comfortably safe, nothing will happen. You can trek to your various houses even without bike, even at night.
When you're driving, you have to jump a lot of potholes to get to your house or to the market or to walk or to even get to the road there. But now that it's been constructed, we are really happy.
From my place to the health center, oh boy, maybe induced labor will just affect because of the road is very bad. And it was during that rainy season that I gave birth to my child. But now, from my site to there, before you say Jack, I'm in the hospital already.
Complete this project 1 year, we will do the maintenance. After the 1 year, of course, the local government supposed to do maintenance. And for example, every year, if they do the maintenance, this road long lasts more than 50 years.
Residents and officials of the FCTA believe that only when every part of Abuja receives equal attention of infrastructural development will the capital truly function at its best. In Abuja, for News Central, Aishat Salihu.
Coming up, Guinea's ruling junta wants to extend presidential terms from 5 to 7 years with a 2-term limit. We'll tell you more after the break. And thanks for staying with us. Now, Guinea's ruling junta wants to extend presidential terms from 5 to 7 years with a 2-term limit, according to a draft constitution due to be put to referendum in September. The draft was presented last Thursday to General Mamadi Doumbouya, head of the junta that ousted President Alpha Condé in 2021, a one in a series of military coups in West Africa. It did not specify whether Doumbouya would be able to run for president when the country returns to democratic elections. The upcoming referendum is meant to pave the way for a return to constitutional rule in the country, where the junta has placed sharp curbs on citizens' freedom since taking power. Republican leaders in the U.S. Congress delayed a key votes for hours on Donald Trump's signature tax and spending bill Wednesday as they scrambled to win over a group of rebels threatening to torpedo the centerpiece of the president's domestic agenda. Trump is seeking final approval in the House of Representatives for his Senate-passed One Big Beautiful bill, but faces opposition on all sides of his fractious party over provisions set to balloon the national debt while launching a historic assault on the social safety net. House Speaker Mike Johnson told lawmakers to return to the offices, holding open a series of afternoon procedural votes required before final approval for more than 3 hours after it was first called with no sign of the stalemates breaking. To discuss this, we are joined by political analyst Larry Toluhi. He joins from Manchester in the UK. Larry, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so tell us, what are the main ideological, or let's say policy divisions among Republicans that are driving this rebellion? Are these rooted more in fiscal conservatism, electoral strategy, or political rivalry? Which one is it?
I think it's a mix or a blend of all. It's a blend of political, blend of conservative, or a blend of whatever you might think of it. You know, for every politician of whether the legislative or the executive, everybody wants to bring these, and for these House of Representative members, they belong to a constituency and they have constituents they have to report to. And for some of them, they are going to be politics, knowing what is happening, looking at the demography, their constituency. Because, largely most people believe that this new tax is about for the rich and for not protecting the rich. So when you see people, you see members that most of their constituents are class to have to use some things. But by and large, that's the beauty of democracy. That is why you see democracy in action, where you see people, where you see each government doing what they need to do. The legislative is showing that they have the power, the executive is showing they do that. They are checkmating each other. They're really independent. You can see the independence in it. That is what we don't get back at home. We can see it at play. Also, for me, it is good. It is good so that nobody is going to come pushing agendas that are not meant to be pushed. But at the same time, too, they need to understand that this tax reform or this budget, this bill, or this thing has to go and has to pass.
Now, how much of this rebellion reflects genuine policy concern versus, strategic posturing, especially ahead of the 2026 midterms of Trump's 2024, legacy positioning?
Look, like I said, for me, you see how many, I'll say it's 50-50, just like I said. It's about strategy and it's about things. Let us tell ourselves the truth. That is how pleasing when you get to Washington and you see what is happening. the capital here, like the economy. You know, it's going to be politics, partying, it's going to be what is in need for, what is not in need. So a lot of people have issues with what Trump is doing and what Trump is not doing. But as President Donald Trump, as he come and as he meant with America, by and large, for me, if I'm going to say yes, to an extent, he has really made America. And for some reasons, he knows what he's doing. And yeah, the legislators, the House of Rep members, so they know what they are doing. They are paying. And everybody is thinking, okay, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? How are they going to do it? Or making this man too powerful? Or make this man too popular? Or making him too popular? At the end of the day, everybody needs to understand that it's all about Americans and everybody residing in America. And for the love of Americans, they will all come back to the drawing board. They will come back to the same table. And they're going to just make things happen. We saw what happened in the Senate, that there was a tie before the vice president. J.D. Vance came and declared all that. And going into the see what's happening with the speaker calling it Speaker Mark Johnson already coming in. So have the conversation. So when they're going to have this conversation, they're going to do stuff. Everything we might think it is, we might think it's strategic, we might think it's at the end of the day to pass, but don't forget it. There is nothing that happens in governance that politics is not the underlying issue.
All right, so Larry, if the rebellion succeeds in derailing or reshaping the bill, what are the broad implications for Trump's influence, especially over the party and the GOP's economic platform?
Yeah, if the rebellion succeed, you know, it's a big if. I don't see them succeeding. It's a big if. President Donald Trump has shown. I don't know. I don't want to believe the fifth columnism where they say President Donald Trump has shown that he's a great politician. He's not just a negotiator, and he's a good negotiator too. So I know he's probably having some things, offering the PSD, offering the ruling, talking to where he needs to talk to, talking to who he needs to talk to, lobbying who he needs to lobby, and it's still going to be. The rebellion will not succeed. For those who see as a rebellion, don't be surprised they're going to be there to they're going to be on the side to him, because we all know that he wants this being passed by 4th, which is tomorrow, which is by Friday. And if he wants it passed, I have a feeling that he wants it passed so that he can have it ascended. It's gonna go through. Believe me, I don't see reason why it shouldn't go through. It's going to be something that's going to be a little bit of back and forth. I think it is. I think it's going to be because Donald Trump, President Donald Trump has come in like an outsider, and he has shown that determination, the people, determination, to setting, we can make things happen. So his influence is still going to be there, and I think Phil is really showing our influence, and the influence will continue to.
All right, thank you so much, Larry, for joining us. I hope you join us again some other time.
Thank you for having me. It's a great honor to be here.
All right, moving on. The International Monetary Fund has advised the Nigerian government to revise its proposed 54.99 trillion naira 2025 budget to reflect lower oil price expectations, warning of the country's continuing vulnerability to external shocks. In its latest Article 5 consultation, the IMF acknowledged Nigeria's bold reforms such as fuel subsidy removal and foreign exchange liberalization, but stressed that further consolidation is needed. The fund urged a neutral fiscal stance focused on growth-driving investments, citing rising risks and the need to translate macroeconomic gains into tangible benefits for citizens. Now in sports, Nigeria's leading table tennis player, Quadri Aruna, has slipped one spot in the latest International Table Tennis Federation World Rankings, while his compatriot, Fatima Bello, made notable progress in the women's standings. According to the ITTF's Week 27 rankings, Aruna moved down from 23rd to 24th in the world despite maintaining his tally of 1,140 rankings points. While Aruna experienced a slight setback, Fatima Bello climbed 4 places to 92nd in the Women's World Rankings with 230 points. Despite not competing since her appearance at the World Championships in Doha back in May, Bello benefited from favorable ranking adjustments. France's all-time leading goal scorer Olivier Giroud has made a return to French football for the first time since 2012 after signing a one-year deal with Ligue 1 club Lille. The 38-year-old recently parted ways with the Major League Soccer side Los Angeles FC. During his official presentation, Giroud said it was important for him to finish his career in France. The former Arsenal and AC Milan forward won the 2018 FIFA World Cup and is the top scorer in the history of French football with 57 goals in 137 appearances. He has not played in Ligue 1 since 2012 when he won the league title with Montpellier.
Pour moi, c'était important de finir ma carrière en France. C'était peut-être pas l'objectif il y a quelques années, mais encore une fois, l'appel d'Olivier a été déterminant. Et le fait de retrouver, de me rapprocher de la famille, des amis, retrouver un pays que j'aime, qui est le mien, avec tout le capital sympathie et l'amour des Français. Lille a coché énormément de cases, pour pas dire toutes les cases, donc voilà.
And that's all at this hour, but before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Controversy is brewing following official unveiling of African Democratic Congress by leaders of opposition coalition. Supreme Court has reserved judgment and deferred ruling indefinitely on Edo governorship election dispute. We also told you that Guinea's ruling junta is set to extend presidential terms from 5 to 7 years with a 2-term limit. Remember, you may send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, StarTimes channel 274. We're also on Avo TV and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Chiwete Onyema.